With 4 million sounds, what will you create? Take the free trial today.
Hello YouTube, welcome to a new Scene Anatomy video, and here from the Superbooth 20 Home Edition. I'm on the line with Nicolas from Soundforce. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Are you still healthy? Are you creative?
I'm
Busy?
Yeah, I'm busy. The web shop is going crazy. Also a lot of orders. And it's been fine. I'm healthy. Everybody I know is healthy. You know, for me, there's no really big influence. I'm busy. Makers are usually loners. They work at home on the laptop or with the soldering iron all the time. So yeah, for me so far, it's been okay.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
You are a developer of hardware.
Yes.
And where do you come from first? Your company is based in?
So I live in Holland, and the company is registered here. And I come from the south of Belgium, actually. I was born there. So I'm French speaking. And I live here for about 10 years, the east of Holland.
And is it your first audio company, or is it already working in another company, maybe, which is music tech?
Yeah, so what I did before, I graduated in like a technical thing. It was mechanical and electrical engineering that worked a little bit in a normal company or in a normal industry, or not the music industry. Then I did a little course actually in the city where I'm here at a conservatory for music technology, and I dropped. And then I started a little independent studio where I tried to mix people music and say, oh, come to me. I'm super good. I will mix your music. And then I also worked in maybe people know Galaxy Studios in Belgium. I worked for like a year in the sound department. Then that's the moment I started to go from music technology to like music hardware. And I took my engineering background and I mixed it with like my music technology, let's say passion. And I started to work on the first MIDI controller, the SFC-8, the first one I made.
And you said it already, MIDI controllers. How do you come to the idea to making MIDI controllers for virtual instruments? Is it because it's something special? Because normally companies make a MIDI controller which is universal and not really aesthetic. It's a basic MIDI controller, but you're making stuff that looks like a hardware a bit.
Yeah, so exactly. Yeah, I try to make it as much as that it feels as natural as possible. And the idea came because I've seen, I was using the TAL LX plugin. And I was really, really blown away by that thing. It was, I think back then it was 60 euros. It's still really affordable. I'm not sure how much it costs.
And now on iOS? Yeah,
also now on iOS. It sounds really good. And I was comparing that to like demos of people using the Juno on YouTube. And I realized that they were doing cooler things that I was doing. And mostly it was because they knew how to use it and I was still learning. And I realized also because they were interacting with the thing differently because they could touch it. And I'm not going into the discussion, because the hardware sounds better than the software. For me, it's really also a different workflow. And that's when I just printed the interface on the cardboard thing. And I cut some holes and I had it in my hand and I thought, I still have it somewhere upstairs. And I thought, how big would that be? Would that work? Would that be nice? And then from there, it started like, I worked on it for a really long time because I didn't have a lot of hardware experience, like practical experience. You know, when you study, you learn theory, especially in engineering, you don't really learn a lot of the practical aspect. That's something you learn in the field. And then it grew. Then it's like the addiction of making things and having being busy, having projects, having feedback also from the people. Like I said, it's something special and nobody else is doing, because I think nobody's crazy enough to just make those things. But people that get the controllers, they're really enthusiastic about it. They really love it. As I told you before, like some people I have customers, I have photos of customers. They have like 4 or 5 of them in the studio, and they really enjoy it. So that feels really good. And then gives me always motivation to make a new one.
Are you making the plugins thanks to the feedback of the people who are saying, please make a controller of this one, or is it more that plugins that you are using mostly?
It's a little bit of both. I try to look it's a bit of both. It's like what I'm using from time to time. I would have like every week or every couple of weeks, someone send me an email. Oh, can you please make a controller for this one? Like, yeah, just a couple of hours and you can make it. People try to just also like plant an idea in my head and maybe one day I will make it. But it's also, I'm trying to look, okay, what would be a popular product? And so it's also a combination. What would be a popular product? What would be interesting for me? What would be interesting for the customers? And actually the new one that we're going to talk about today, that's been actually an idea from the YouTuber Myler Melodies. Maybe you know him. And he was at the booth at Superbooth last year and said, you should make that one. And I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll do it. And I found the time and yeah.
And actually on your portfolio, you have the Minimoog?
Yes.
For the Arturia?
Yeah, that's for the Arturia. And by the way, all those machines, they just send a MIDI CC. So you can use it with any plugin you want. And on every controller, for instance, there's a user 1, user 2, extra buttons that you can map to like a delay or reverb control.
Okay.
So from a total of a plugin or whatever the sound of in your mixer DAW.
But you have one for the Minimoog, one for the Tal Uno LX, as you said, the Prophet 5,
yes,
the
that's correct.
Repro, and the Repro 1.
Yeah.
But second, you can use your both. Because the Pro 5 is the same plugin of UE, but it's just a polyphonic version and. Yeah.
Exactly. So the difference between those two, first is the modulation section on the left. You can see it works differently. It works with slide switches on the SFC-1 on the Pro 1, and on the Repro it's text switches and 4 paths. You can see on the left side.
Are you working there together with the developers or ask them, or is it more try and error and?
I'm in touch with them. Like I met Urs from UE 2 years ago at Superbooth, and I showed him the SFC-5, the first version, and he was really enthusiastic. And then after Superbooth, they ordered a couple of them which was really nice for the demos that they're making. Last year, they also had both controls, SFC-1 and SFC-5 at their booth. In terms of features, I was also in touch with them and Arturia. For those companies, it's a bit more complicated to assign some time to work with me to do something for my products because they're really busy, of course, and they're working on plenty of things. But we are discussing about maybe integrating more, but it's difficult for them to promise anything because they're very busy. On the other hand, with the TAL programmer, it's only one person called Patrick. And I'm in touch with them for a really long time. He had the very first controller I ever made. And for the new SFC-60, which is going to come out in the summer, he really spent some of his free time to integrate the controller better. So it's going to be, you will be able to change the presets from the controller and the LEDs are going to move and some fancy stuff like that. But that's still in development.
Your controllers becomes more fancy.
Yeah. This one for the SFC-60 V3 is gonna be very nice.
Because if we compare now this the Mini, the first Mini, even the version 1, and then to this one, it's already a step forward. Yeah,
exactly. Especially on the SFC-5 V2 and the new product we're gonna look at today. I have walnut, so hardwood wooden sides. The SFC-1, this version is still with plywood size, and that's gonna be updated also in the coming months. And one thing I wanted to ask you, asked the difference between the Pro 1 and Pro 5 controller. The SFC-1, the special thing about it is that it has the whole FX section also at the bottom. So you can use all those effects. And I don't know if you used that plugin before.
Yeah.
But after Superbooth 2018, because I talked to Urs, I checked it out. And I was really impressed by the quality of the reverb, the quality of the delay. And I thought, okay, I want to make one with everything on it. and it's really a beast. There's like almost 50 parts to assemble on one thing, so it's really a big thing, really heavy also.
And they are made in, I read on the website, made in Netherlands and Germany.
Yeah, so there are parts also in Poland. It depends also a little bit now from which controllers. Some controllers have the electronics soldered in Germany. Some of them are soldered. Part I do it here. Now the SMD stuff, the really small parts, they come directly on the PCB from China directly, and the case they're all made in Poland. So actually, I should update that header. It's not complete anymore.
And the new product is this one.
Yeah,
it's the SFC-8.
Yeah, so I'm super original in the naming scheme. I try to keep it simple and consistent. So this is a Jupiter 8 MIDI controller, and that was the ID planted by Milo Melody. So you have to thank him for that. I know I was not in touch with him yet about this thing, and I will, because it's thanks to him that I kind of made it. And I should add also that this one is the first one who has a DIN MIDI connector alongside of the USB MIDI connector, because he suggested to make it also available. There seems to be a lot of hardware that has the Jupiter 8 architecture. I think rack version or something like that. I don't remember exactly because I'm not really an expert in that field. But he thought, hey, that would be interesting also really for hardware programming of the non-keyboard versions, I think. Yeah.
But this doesn't have lights on it, or?
No, so
the sliders are not on with lights, no.
No. So the sliders, no, this is really really a coupled rotary switches, rotary pods, slide pods, toggle switches.
The integration, how easy is it? Just MIDI CC, or do you have also an editor or something in that direction?
There is, for every product, there is a web page that you can open in Google Chrome. You can connect with the device, and you have a list of each parameter and their corresponding CC number. You can change it. And in the new interface, you have a illustration of the front panel. You can click on the control you want, and there's a field in that field you can type it. Then you send all the new data to the device. So imagine you want to work with a piece of software or hardware, and for the filter you need CC number 50. You can do that. You can change the controller CC number. For the rest, for the Arturia plugin, there's Manager. There's a preset MIDI mapping preset system. So on my website there will be a little file you can download, and there's a location you have to copy it, or you can open it and then it's mapped directly, and you can start to use it. Because mapping is super easy. You can also do it yourself. It's just a bit annoying. It's like click, move, click, move for like 100 times, something like that.
And they are powered via USB, or you need a power supply?
No, it's USB powered. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very. I actually have it here. I can try to put it in front of the camera if I don't hurt the mic. Yes, this is the beast. The camera is inverted. It's not very easy. Sorry about that. And that's the back.
Okay.
Like the MIDI and the USB, and that's all there is to it. It's a metal case. It's a sheet metal case, so it's a bent piece of 1 millimeter steel, and the top is 2 millimeter aluminum, powder coated, screen printed, and the sides that are made by the case builder Rob Gould.
Okay.
From Gould Caseworks. And his workshop is in Amsterdam. This is really beautiful. If I can get it. The light is not really great, but the wood is really beautiful. I'm really happy. It's since I moved, I'm moving all the controllers with sides like this because it makes everything so fancy. I love it.
Just imagine how amazing would be a Jupiter 8 clone in this format.
Yeah, that would be really great. I think to make all the voices fit like in the box
or digital.
Yeah, or digital.
Or a fantastic UE emulation of the Jupiter 8 in box style like this.
Yeah, there are. I know that some of the plugins, some of the plugin frameworks that I use to program plugins can also compile the plugins for Linux. So there's possibilities in the future to maybe put the full instrument in this thing.
Or work with Elk Audio. They put on a little Raspberry Pi with their operating system.
Yeah, I talked to them last year. And that's super interesting stuff. I think they're really doing a great work. At the moment, I was wondering, what would be like the budget, and it was, at the moment it's not very affordable. I could look into it, but I would need a compiled version of the software for Linux and also ARM, and that's something you need really friendly people to do that for you, because it's a lot of work, and sometimes it's just technically not possible. You need the compiler to be able to do that.
But you are, because we are already now talking about sound, you're not only making MIDI controllers, but also Eurorack, right?
Yes, that's right. I started with the addiction of making things. I was looking at Eurorack and I thought, this looks so interesting and everybody's talking about this. And I can probably make all those things. So the DIY aspect at first for me was really interesting and really a reason why I jumped in. And the first thing I did with Eurorack is buying a kit at Tonk in the UK and build and laser cutting my own case. That's how I started. So I started much more as, this would be a great platform to have a lot of nice projects and growing the company also in that,
And I see on your website, do you have a DCO available? Is it a digital or analog? I think it's not analog, or?
That's, let's say it's hybrid. That's the first module I brought out. That was last year at Superbooth, actually. So what is this? This is like a analog saw wave, but the reset of the saw wave, it's not done with an analog circuit. The reset of the saw wave is digitally controlled. Actually, the reset of the saw wave and both the amplitude and the amplitude as well. So it's really smooth because it's an analog waveform, but it's really in tune after calibration of the module. It's really in tune. And that's the idea of what the Juno is doing, both 60 and 106. And some of the synthesizers of the 80s were doing that. Then from the saw, you can get a pulse wave really easily, also analog, and with actually the impulse that creates the saw wave, you can have a first sub, and I thought, let's add a second sub. It's gonna make really, really fat. And actually, I get sometimes the feedback from people, this is what I use for my bass line, and I will never change it. They really like it. And there's the noise.
And everything is CV controllable, I see a lot.
So the top jacks, they're actually outputs. So there's one output for each signal, and there's also a mix out. So for me, the fun aspect of this module was also to have those really nice sliders that I like, because I used it so much on the SFC-60 before. So you can make your own mix. You don't need an external mixer, and you get that Roland feeling. Then the CV inputs is, of course, the pitch, volts per octave. There's also a frequency modulation that can be attenuated with the slider. Yes, the one on the most right slider.
Yep.
Then there's a manual pulse wave, and then the pulse wave modulation with the modulation input and attenuation as well.
And this one is based on the Juno, yeah?
Yeah. This one is like, let's say, a modern version, also a much more precise version, because it's using built-in timers when the Juno was using external timers, and those timers, they have much higher resolution. So there's almost, you can get the pitch that you want exactly. And it's 16 bits resolution for the analog to digital converter. So the one that takes the pitch. So the pitch is also very stable and it's very precise. Yeah, that was really a module I worked on a long time, and it really worked out well, and it still sells at the moment. So I'm really happy, and yeah.
Is it quite thick, or is it?
It's 40 millimeters, so it's 2 PCBs and then the connector. The module.
You are still not stopped with Juno. You have also dual filter.
Yeah, so the dual filter was something I made before Superbooth last year, and it was I made it because I've seen the possibility to make a module that was pretty complete, pretty affordable, and that also sounded well, and that's based on the MS-20 silent key type filter. Two of them.
That beefy sound and
Yeah,
aggressive.
with a lot of, I added a resonance CV control. You have 2 CV inputs, 2 audio inputs. So that was something that I made. But I thought I could contribute to filters by making like something quite compact, but with a lot of feature and something affordable.
Okay.
Because I think the price is in there. It's tell me.
It's year round.
I've seen the with my supply chain, I know I could make it a bit more affordable. So what I try to do in the modules, it's if I find a few things interesting. So first I need to learn something. I have to do a little research. I have to develop my skills. So it should be not too easy, not too difficult. If it's too difficult, you get frustrated and it takes 2 years and then somebody else has released the same module because your IDs are not, sometimes IDs are everywhere. People can have the same ID. And also I like to make, I don't want to make modules that cost 500 euros. There's no problem with that. I think they're beautiful modules at that price. It's just not really what I want to buy myself or what I want to put on the market. So this one was also, I've seen the possibility to make an affordable, good modules maybe for people to start. At one, it's 149.
Super affordable for dual filter.
Yeah, sorry, I drink.
Then you have for Superbooth, already announced 1 week ago, I think, before, you have the dual ADSR.
Yeah, about that, yeah.
And it's again Juno, or?
So it's a bit more than that. So it was sliders, and I had the possibilities to recreate the time ranges and as well as the curve of the Juno 60 that I have. But it was also, I wanted to add CV control of all the times and the sustain level. And this is not it's a digital module. This one is digital. That's why it made sense for me to add all the CV control. Let's say it was a bit more, for me, it was more straightforward than to make it completely analog. And the Juno obsession, it was just fun to include it because I realized that the attack was linear and the rest were exponential.
I think it's nice that they test the cycle feature and 3 different ranges.
Yeah, I wanted to make it more complete. Before I start on something, I look, okay, what will people expect? What is a bit standard? What is maybe missing? And I try to take all those things to combine them. And this module, the output of this module is that it's really big. It's really, really big. So I know it's not for everybody. It's for people. First, you need the space.
You have 2 ADSRs.
Yeah, you have 2 of them, and you have CV control. That's something it exists, but it's a little bit more rare. And there's a little end off output with a switch, and it's something that can triggers at the end, or can trigger at the end of the attack phase or the decay phase or the release phase. Okay.
And you have one more thing for Superbooth 20 Home Edition.
Yeah.
Something quite special. It's this module here, the samples.
Yes. So this one is still, as I told you before we started, the front panels. The front panel sample is still in a box in the UPS supply chain somewhere. So this is gonna be a small sample player of 6 sounds. And if you take a close look, it's actually all the 808 sounds that don't have any control for tuning or length. So it's really like those one-shot sounds. And I sampled them and I put them in a little digital module.
Okay.
So the goal was to make, actually I started at the first week of the quarantine, the lockdown, let's say, here in Holland. And I thought, I'm going to make this. I have a little time. It's going to be fun because I have a 808 kick and 808 snare, which are actually DIY projects that people can get from my website, PCB and front panel.
Mhm.
So I thought I want to have something small, simple, that goes with it. And I come out of a product cycle when I made the DCO and I made the dual filter, I made the dual ADSR, the really big projects that take a lot of time. And this was a little bit less headache to get done. It's 4HP. It's going to be probably around 100 euros.
Mhm.
And it's very easy to test because there are no controls. So it's easy to build, it's easy to test. And if people want a sampler with all the features, they can get something like the Squid Sample. I don't know how you pronounce that. That's like, for instance, a really good one if you want control over everything. If you just want 6 cool extra sounds in a little space, then you can get this one. I don't have a sound demo yet, but that's going to come in the next few days.
So you have, if you have a kick module and a snare module, you have additional modules for this one. Or,
yeah, then you have 8 sounds.
Maracas and cowbells.
Yeah, cowbells, all the special stuff.
So you trigger the sounds and then it's very, very easy.
It's super easy. Trigger in, sound out, Very short. Something from like a trigger sequencer or gate sequencer, anything like that.
Okay. And when we can expect the samples?
I think in June.
June.
Somewhere in June, yeah. Demos are gonna come. There's gonna be probably also a diff kit video, demo video about this one, alongside with the 808 kick and the 808 snare. Just a simple sound demo and.
The 808s, is this something new for Superbooth or it's already longer on the market?
No, that's actually old. It's like 2 years out DIY project. It's like, I think 6 HP. And I see if you go to DIY, there you'll see 808 kick, the last ones.
Okay.
So that's very simple. The front panel on the picture is still, you can go to the next picture. Yeah. It's actually a completely true hole PCB, very small project. Easy to build, and it just gives you that sound.
Okay.
It's those projects are fun to make, not too complicated.
So this is coming in for June. The ADSR is already out?
Yeah, that's already out.
Okay. And big thing?
Big thing probably, if I'm realistic, which I'm never realistic with this kind of stuff, I would say September.
September, okay.
September.
And your stuff is available on your website or dealers?
So I have a few dealers in the US. I have Perfect Circuit. At the moment, they don't have everything. They don't have everything in stock because of the crisis. I have difficulties also to get packages out there. But people that want something, they can order from my website, and I ship with UPS to the US. And in Europe, there's Signal Sound in the UK for the modules and the controllers. For the modules, I have MadTech Modular. Then my friend of Error Instruments, Paul, has also the modules. And for people in Switzerland, there will be Dupertuis in Lausanne.
Okay.
They're getting modules. They are shipped.
So your modules are available at many dealers.
Yes, and also my website. If you want to get like one module from me and another couple of modules from someone else, people usually shop at the dealer. And if you want just one module, you can buy it from me or from anybody. Support the dealers that also need it at the moment. Okay.
Thank you, Nicolas.
Thank you, Tom.
I hope you will go well to the special situation now. Be really creative. Maybe another module will. How long will be stuck inside? Maybe a second new module. Let's see.
I'm working on some other stuff. That's
okay.
Some of it is just on the computer. Some of it's already physical, but it doesn't work yet. So.
Okay. Big thanks.
Thank you too.
And hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have questions, let me know in the comments below. And see you soon in one of the next Superbooth 20 Home Edition videos. Bye.